Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Craig. My primary job work for HM Coast Guard, Majestic Coast Guard, coordinating search and rescue around the maritime and coastal environments, which includes a lot of volunteers that will go on to explore. And I'm also a master's student at Bournemouth University in disaster management. So what brings me to you today is to raise the profile of these volunteers, talk about the work I've started doing, almost kicking the tires sort of analogy that I've done, and then looking for support to take this forward. So SAR, search and rescue volunteers, who are they? So some of the characteristics we expect, that are expected of the volunteers is it's a formal branch of volunteering. It's all done through an organised team. It can be classed, and Americans still use this term, as high stakes volunteering. They use that when they're looking at volunteer firefighting and volunteers in palliative care. And that's defined as long-term, consistent and intense volunteering. And these guys fit the bill because what they've got to offer in terms of their time and resources for training and to be able to respond to drop family commitments, job commitments for the role is a very demanding role. There's got to be a level of physical ability in that we're sending these guys out, girls and girls out on difficult terrain. They're going to be carrying heavy equipment and even casualties. And then literally they are looking to put your life on the line for others. So that came about, brought about this definition that I put forward in my study, is that's an individual who freely gives of their time and resources to train and respond with a search and rescue organisation, who are formally recognised and called upon by statutory services for the provision of technical skills to protect and save life and property. We say about statutory services because it's actually the police and us as the Coast Guard. We hold the bill for coordinating search and rescue, but again, we rely on volunteers to be able to facilitate that. So some of the people involved in the SAR environment, here we've got Coast Guard rescue teams simulating a mud rescue there. They also do cliff rescue, searches, helicopter operations, a very diverse set of skills. You've got the RNLI being the major, but there's also a host of individual independent lifeboat charities that provide a rescue service. Mountain rescue, providing care and technical skills for rescuing mountainous environment, and their lowland counterparts, providing the similar skills, but in lowland and urban search and rescue areas, like your cave rescues. These are typically ex-miners who go down in very tight, confined spaces. And then you got flood rescue again in the UK. This is quite a growth in our rescue services due to the changing weather we are experiencing. So the grounds for research, it came about as I was doing my Irish Guard. I asked, do our volunteers get a say? Are they listened to? The answer came back was no, they're not. And I took quite an umbrage at that because, as you can see, they are a vital resource for the UK public. So this set me off. We found that 170,000 people are involved, and that's both in fundraising, administration, and that's broken down to about 25 to 30,000 people are actual rescue volunteers. There is a working group that collectively oversees them, but unlike in other countries, America, New Zealand, Australia, there's very little evidence and literature to support an informed basis for them to work on. So this took me went back to university, did my undergraduate, and this is my dissertation. So at a partner college with University of Plymouth, I looked to measure the experience of new search and rescue volunteers in the UK, and I wanted to look at them pan-organisation due to treat them as a collective, because they all vary in terms of management and organisational situations. So I wanted to try and get a quite a early on version of people experiences, in the hope of trying are the new volunteers being nurtured for longevity of the service. Went through social media to find them, and I took a mixed method approach, just because there was an absence of information. Went for a questionnaire with a variety of scales, and then also looked to back that up with some structured interviews to add some context to the numbers. So what I found, well, on the whole, there was a very positive feeling about people's experiences. And there's two quotes there from mountain rescue and a lowland rescue volunteers. And they all spoke about having a sense of pride and honour, that they're there serving their communities. They're putting everything on the line to help people who are in some of the most personal testing circumstances. And I was surprised, I was overwhelmed by the amount of response I got back, that they do want to speak out, they want to be heard. Also found there's a few studies that's almost posited that this type of volunteering wasn't compatible with a conventional volunteering understanding. But I found, in comparing my data with the UK research and like the time well spent study that came out last year, that there was a lot of parallels in people's experiences to take forward, and that people felt satisfied in their role. There's three key components that I identified. They wanted to make a difference, they want to feel part of a team, and they like the feeling of being challenged, learning new skills and using those skills as well. And this links to the top motivations that was found in values and understanding using the volunteer function inventory. Also, what was found, which makes a lot of sense, was that people's attitude was inversely correlated with their intent to quit. So better the attitude, they're less likely to leave. But what I was interested in, what affects that attitude? And wanted to look at, was it an organizational impact or social impact that had the highest influence on that? And I found that the quality of their relationship with their peers had the biggest influence on their attitude towards their search and rescue experience. The social motivation was the lowest scored item on the inventory. So people didn't join for the social element, but social element was vital to keep them in the role.
Craig,
other key studies, Lois?
Craig, I'm just a bit worried about time. I wondered if you might be able to move on a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm always finished. So the importance of the collective identity and the conformity to social norms, and the terms that we use, and family. They also spoke about the unfortunate side of their role, whilst they're dealing with the face, and that's quite a growing issue within the area. So you've got MIND, which is a specific program for blue light responders, and they've adopted an industry level of trauma risk management, identifying key risks to post-traumatic incidents. So moving forwards, what's putting pressures on them? You've got the existing austerity on the current So police, fire, ambulance, they're being used to plug the gaps. The change in the volunteering and the fundraising climate. Moving on, Brexit, the social economic impact. Well, because a lot of these, the work that we do is to do with despondency, people having their own mental health crises, and we've got to go out and find them. The pandemic, as always, has been difficult for them. Climate change, throwing more severe weather, which these guys will have to be able to respond to in certain circumstances. The migrant crisis, our colleagues in the lifeboats down in the channel are being absolutely tired of looking after the welfare of these migrants. And also looking at the individual. The increased call-outs will strain on their goodwill, and there's growing lack of resources, so time, availability for them to commit to the role. So in summary, SAR volunteers, we are vital in the UK emergency response framework. There is a lack of understanding of who they are and what we can do to help them. And I've come today to raise the profile and to look for ways to support and advance this work. And that's it. Thank you.